What's good, everybody? It's your boy Batman, and we're over here doing another reaction video of the injustice and the nonsense that we have to be dealing with as people, civilians in the human world, with when it comes to law enforcement or our justice systems or even the courts itself. So this is something we're going to be basically going over and reviewing. It is a guy. If you guys don't know who he is, I'll even show you. I should have done that with the other guy. I'm going to make sure to put that on my video as well. But this guy right here, he's called Lackluster. Check him out. He has tons of videos of injustice of all these crazy cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs cops that are just clearly abusing their power and being tyrants and, and exploiting the ignorance of civilians not really knowing the laws and all that, and you name it. So definitely check this guy out. If you guys like the stuff you see in the content, make sure to give him support, comment, like, subscribe, you name it, the whole 9 yards. He has a Twitch, all that, you name it. So help the guy out. He has incredible videos, incredible stuff. Really will open your eyes to the world at the end of the day, because it's just crazy. It's truly crazy of how corrupt our systems are. But other than that, we're gonna get to it. We're gonna check out this video. The title is "Driver Blows Zero, Cops Demand Blood Lawsuit." Let's watch. It's about 19 minutes, not too bad.
Odor of alcohol. Don't fall over there. Do you have anything on you that I need to be concerned about?
I told you I'm not going to answer any questions.
I understand that you blew triple zeros, so that leads me to believe that there's something else going on.
I'm not going to play this game, okay?
I'm not playing a game, sir. This is my freedom that you're talking about.
Lower your voice.
Welcome back to the Lackluster channel. Today's video...
He's like, I'm not playing this game, and clearly starts getting frustrated, and now it's escalating. And then the other guy's like, I'm not playing this game. This is my freedom you're talking about. He's like, lower your voice. So he can talk loud, but he has to, like, fuck you, bro.
It was supposed to feature a Franklin County prosecutor
God, I
that
hate
knocked down
fucking
two
bullies.
utility poles, had an open container while driving under the influence, and allegedly peed his pants.
What happened there? I'm sorry? What happened there?
Channel is notified to the electric.
What happened to your pants?
I'm going to be clear of this.
Yeah.
Crotch is wet.
No idea? Here, let's step over here.
Allegedly. Officers on scene released him, and the story was buried in a tiny local news column. However, we're gonna have to discuss that incident tomorrow, because it deserves my full attention, but more importantly, because now we have something to compare it to. Yesterday, Sarah Shelke of the Life and Liberty Law Offices emailed me after releasing 2 videos pertaining to a lawsuit she had recently filed on behalf of Harris Elias. If you didn't know, Sarah Shelke is the force behind several lawsuits against the Loveland Police Department, exposing huge cases like Karen Garner, Preston Sowell, and more. On January 4th, 2020, Harris Elias...
Shout out to her then. Shout out to someone that's actually making a difference with the law. Actually delivering justice, someone that's actually looking out for the innocent, the people that can't protect themselves. Thank you to those type of people.
A general contractor and pilot was driving home through Fort Collins. Unfamiliar with the area, he slowed down to check a street sign at an upcoming intersection. He saw the headlights behind him close the distance quickly and aggressively, not wanting to impede the driver or to be rear-ended. Mr. Elias signaled a lane change and moved out of the approaching vehicle's lane. That vehicle was occupied by Officer William Gates of the Loveland Police Department. Officer Gates stayed close on his tail, making the lane change with him and shortly after initiating a traffic stop.
Hi, how you doing? Good. Hey, Officer Gates. The reason I stopped you, you didn't signal your lane change, and we're going about 15 to 18 miles an hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. No, you moved from the center lane over to the left lane, and you failed to signal your lane change. Okay. All right. Do you have a driver's license and insurance with you? Yeah, that's cool. How much have you had to drink tonight? What's that? I said, how much have you had to drink tonight? You don't want to answer that question?
This is an incredible body cam, by the way. I can't even see the fucking guy.
Well, I smell the overwhelming odor of alcohol coming from your vehicle.
I smell the overwhelming alcohol odor from your vehicle. Oh, hell no, bro. This guy just wants to get sued. What a dumbass.
were doing 22 miles an hour under the speed limit, and you failed to signal a lane change. Okay. So on a scale of 0 being completely sober and 10 being the most intoxicated you've ever been, what do you feel like? Okay. All right, just hang tight for me, man. I'll be right back with you.
Officer Gates returns to his cruiser after Mr. Elias surrenders his documents. Officer Gates has just accused Mr. Elias of not signaling a lane change, but when Mr. Elias expressed his doubt of the claim, Officer Gates added that he was doing 18 in a 45. It is not illegal to drive 18 in a 45, and knowing that he had not committed an offense, Mr. Elias became concerned that the officer was accusing him of so many, and decided from that point to politely refuse to answer any of the officer's questions.
That man went from like saying you didn't do like a turn signal, and then he goes from you're driving 18 in a 45, that's not illegal, that apparently is illegal to the cop, and then he goes from saying that, oh, you know, you've been drinking tonight, haven't you? You know, I smell overwhelming, you know, alcoholic odor, you know, whatnot, blah, blah, this and that. Like, this is the type of shit that is just sad. The sad reality that we live in. That we have these tyrant, abusive police officers that really think it's okay to exploit their power or to exploit people's ignorance of the laws and their rights and think this is okay. Thank God a lawsuit was done against him, and thank God there was justice against this police officer. This is not okay. At all.
The third unfounded accusation, the overwhelming odor of alcohol, though Mr. Elias was completely sober. Not only is it his right to remain silent, it is also widely known that everything you say will only and always be used against you in court. As such, he declines the officer's questions. About 3 minutes later, 2 officers from the Larimer County Sheriff's Office arrive.
Iron Man! These random ass ads, bro. And that is true as well. If you guys, regardless of right or wrong, regardless if you're innocent, guilty, whatever the case may be, if you are ever getting apprehended, I made this mistake. You need to have a lot of self-control, and you need to not let your emotions get the better of you. Unfortunately for me, when I was being committed of a crime that I didn't commit, and so on and so forth, and for the one time in my life, remind you, I'm 23 years old, okay? Never been arrested, never been in trouble with the police, never had any issues with anyone. You know what I mean? I stay to myself and mind my own business. No drugs, no alcohol, you name it, okay? I've seen it all. I've been around it all. Traumatized the whole 9 yards. But never had any issues. And the one time, you know, well, not the one time. I've had many certain things when police and they just want to fucking bother me. And then because there's nothing that they have on me, they leave me alone and they eventually go away. But while doing that, they're being assholes, questioning, trying to, you know, make me admit to a crime or what you fucking name it. But either way, never got in trouble. I had like 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 instances with police. Because at the end of the day, they're just out there to just arrest people for shits and giggles. You know, then I finally have a major situation to where shit happens, whatever. Didn't commit a crime, whatever, you know, you name it. And then basically I get apprehended. And because I'm emotional, because I'm mentally like not even stable at the moment, you know, and at the end of the day, there's just so much going on and there's a lot of variables and factors in place for it. And this is my first time of it ever even escalating to this point, okay? I did speak with them at certain points, you know. I don't even remember the conversations I've had. I don't even remember what questions I even answered. You know what I mean? All I do know is I was, you know, just at least cooperating and complying. But see, the problem with doing that is, yes, you need to comply and cooperate. But if you comply and cooperate too much to where they're trying to take advantage of that for it to make your case look worse or make you look like you are guilty or criminal or whatever the case may be, that's the problem. And that's why he stated in the video, never, ever, ever speak or answer any questions. Only say something that is actually beneficial for you, and that is it. And at the end of this video, if you guys last this long, I'm also going to say something that's also very important if you ever get into a situation where you're being apprehended or arrested, whatever the case may be. Because this was stuff that I didn't even know, that I wish I knew at the time. Okay? And for anyone that ever has to go through this experience. So, we'll leave it at that. We're going to continue watching the video.
Okay. So I'm following him south on College, and we're doing 15 to 18 miles an hour. And he's supposed to signal a lane change from the center lane to the left lane. Asked him how it reeks like booze. Asked him how much he's had to drink. I don't want to answer that question. And I said, on a scale of 0 to 10, what do you feel like? And he goes, that's irrelevant. So I don't know how this is going to go.
Officer Gates returns to Mr. Elias's vehicle.
Hey, sir, I'm going to have you step out of the car for me, okay? All right, you can just leave your phone in the car. Sure. Okay, come on back here for me. All right, man. So the reason that I asked you out of the car...
By the way, the phone thing, you don't have to do that. You can put your phone in your pocket, because if they start putting you in handcuffs and they start apprehending you, now you don't even have your cell phone. Don't ever do what he did. Ever. Take your fucking phone. You take anything you need. Don't ever do that. Ever. By law, he does not have any right to tell you to put your phone in the car. Literally, that is not a law. It is not an unlawful command. It's not a lawful command either. It is an unlawful command.
See, I could smell an overwhelming odor of alcohol. Don't fall over there. Coming from your vehicle. Your eyes are bloodshot, watery, glassy. So how much have you had to drink?
I'm not going to answer any questions.
Okay. Would you want to do some voluntary tests for me to make sure that you're safe to drive?
Nope.
Okay. All right, go ahead and turn around, face your vehicle. Sure. Place your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers with your palms together. Do you have anything on you that you need to be concerned about?
I told you I'm not going to answer any questions.
You're not going to answer any questions? Okay. So my question is, am I going to get poked with anything when I check your pockets? So I think that's a common courtesy to let me know if I'm going to get stuck with a knife or a needle or anything else when I check your pockets.
Okay.
So is that a yes or a no? Yeah, just hang on there for a second.
Officer Gates now searches Mr. Elias and places him in the back of his cruiser.
So I have to advise you of what's called Colorado Express Consent, okay? And that says by the act of driving in the state of Colorado, when arrested for driving under the influence, which you're under arrest for that charge right now, you've already expressly consented to a chemical test of your blood or your breath. Which test would you like to take?
I don't know. I'd have to understand that a little better.
So, by the act of driving in the state of Colorado, when arrested for driving under the influence, which you're under arrest for that charge right now, you've already expressly given your consent to a chemical test of your blood or your breath. Which test would you like to take?
Can I understand the extent of the, you called it expressed consent law?
Yeah, so when you signed for your driver's license, you already expressly consented to a chemical test of your blood or your breath if you're arrested for driving under the influence.
Okay.
So which chemical test would you like to take?
So do I have an is that the legal definition of is that the understanding that I'm allowed to have?
Yes, that's what I'm supposed to advise you of when you're under arrest for driving under the influence. It's called Colorado Express Consent. And I'll tell you again, that means by the act of driving in the state of Colorado,
Okay.
when arrested for driving under the influence, which you're under arrest for that charge right now, you've already expressly consented to a chemical test of your blood or your breath. Which test would you like to take?
Do I have? I mean, is that the information that I'm legally given? Is that
Yes.
the extent of the information that I'm legally
Yes,
given?
sir.
You do not have a copy of the express consent law that I could understand better.
I can absolutely. You'll sign an express consent affidavit later on in this process.
So this is the thing, guys. Another thing I'm going to put out there. Once again, if you do not want to speak, you do not have to answer any questions. You can say, I plead the fifth, or I'm choosing to remain silent, and that's it. You do not have to say anything. If you say anything, it's just going to help them try to find any way to incriminate you or help their case against you. Do not answer questions. And most importantly, you do not have to sign anything. You do not have to answer any questions. None of that. Because at the end of the day, the more less that you do, the less evidence or the less things that they have on you that they're either trying to make up or bullshit or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, do not do what they're doing right now. Do not answer questions. Do not sign shit. Do not do none of that. You do all of that with your lawyer, with your attorney. You make your phone call with your lawyer and your attorney, and they will go over all of that with you. And then you know when to sign and when to do this and when to that and yada yada. No.
Which will give you more information about it, but that's what I'm legally supposed to advise you of
Okay.
when you're under arrest.
So at what point do I have to make that decision, and why do I have to make that? I'm sorry.
You have to make that decision now, so I know whether to take you to the hospital to get a blood draw or to the police station to do a breath test.
And what is the process of both?
So the process for the blood test is that we take you to Poudre Valley Hospital. They draw 2 vials of your blood. That gets sent into the state of Colorado and analyzed. It takes about 6 to 8 weeks to return. And for the breath test, I take you down to the police department. You blow into a certified instrument twice, and then that produces your breath sample results right away.
So if it takes 6 to 8 weeks, what does that mean for the process for tonight?
Well, that doesn't change the process going forward. Okay, so go back. Go ahead and sit back.
Okay. Sorry, don't push on my shoulder, please. Don't push on my shoulder. Thank you.
Well, it's funny. He's clearly intoxicated. He's clearly so off the mark of so drunk. Like, you know, you can smell it, you name it, blah, blah. Like, you know, if you're fucking drunk, really drunk, by the way, I've seen it with my own eyes, you're not going to be able to really move, be able to really talk the right way. You're going to be very freaking silly. Like, this guy is already showing no evidence whatsoever that this man is what he's accusing him of. And the cop is demanding a blood test. Okay.
Okay, so would you like to take a chemical test of your blood or your breath?
A breath test.
A breath test. Okay, just hang tight for a second. I'll be right back with you.
Excuse you. You good? Stop slamming. Unless you want a noise complaint.
At this point, Officer Gates mutes his body cam. Shortly after, he begins questioning Mr. Elias again while muted. In the lawsuit against defendant Gates, it is alleged that he regularly and prolifically violated the LPD's written policy regarding when officers are...
Yeah, you're not allowed to mute. Yeah, that is true. Yep, cannot do that. That is already like a bad sign. That's a big no-no.
permitted to mute their body cams. It is a well-known practice of Officer Gates to mute his camera while questioning arrestees, after which he would write in his reports all kinds of false statements regarding what was said during the time of the accidental or inadvertent muting of his body cam. Now, the body cam is muted for almost 25 minutes while
so
Mr.
it's okay
Eli-
for police officers to have excuses or accidental this, that, yada, yada, which is, mind you, they're literally breaking their own policies and procedures in the law itself. But God forbid someone else, right? You know? Disaster. Terrorist, you know? Like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, what he just stated is correct.
Elias is transported to jail to complete a chemical test as he refused to submit to field sobriety tests. Once at the Loveland station, Mr. Elias completed a breath test. The result was 0.000% blood alcohol content, both times. Now aware that he had likely made an unlawful arrest, Officer Gates asks Mr.
Bam, and pass that shit. So, this man, and mind you, this would be some shit I would have to fucking go through. Because our system is so flawed, and it's so abusive, and the amount of tyranny, it is sad. That is the type of bullshit people have to go through. And the only difference that if this could have gone a whole other way, if he was willing to do the test, you know what I mean, that they do whatever, like, right on the spot, you know what I mean, obviously he would have passed it, and then he would have been on his way and to go home. But no, he was smart. He was willing to be apprehended and arrested. He was willing to be taken to the jail for them to do the test there. And then when it came back negative and it was false, that just makes the cop even look worse. To where now he has a case against the cop and he can file a lawsuit against that police officer with his attorney. That is very, very smart. This is the type of stuff that you need to put into consideration and to think of. Because if he actually cooperated and complied with that tyrant abusing police officer, never would he have had a chance to file a lawsuit. And they would have been, all right, go on your way. Maybe you could have done a complaint, yada yada, this and that, whatever. But now, because of all the crap he had to go through, jail, you name it, all that, they have to compensate. And with that lawsuit to prove and yada yada, except that's a whole other process, regardless of the time consumption or how long that takes, at least he will be rewarded and compensated for the inconvenience, the injustice, and the bullshit he had to deal with.
Mr. Elias to consent to a blood test.
Obviously, your breath test came back not consistent with your driving actions and your mannerisms. So would you be willing to take a blood test?
I don't understand what the implications of the answer to that question are. I'm already complying with the test.
Right. So like I told you, so your mannerisms as you exited the vehicle, your eyes, things like that, your driving actions, they're not consistent.
Bro, this man is still trying to give him shit. Like, you already look dumb, bro. Give it up, buddy.
I understand that you blew triple zeros, so that leads me to believe that there's something else going on.
Oh my god.
Okay, so being that I again had reasonable suspicion to arrest you for driving under the influence, you've provided a breath test that's triple zeros. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't make sense with your driving and your mannerisms. So I advised you of Colorado Express consent again, and now again I'll ask you if you take a chemical test of your blood.
Mr. Elias had already proven his innocence. However, Officer Gates begins talking nonsense, stating that he had reasonable suspicion to arrest Mr. Elias for a DUI. However, reasonable suspicion is insufficient under the Fourth Amendment and the Colorado Constitution. Probable cause is what is required for a DUI arrest, and defendant Gates didn't have that either. Officer Gates also claims that since Mr. Elias had blown zeros, he could now demand a blood test. Mr. Elias requests an attorney, but Gates told him no, and that he needed to agree to comply with a blood test now, or he was going to mark him as a refusal and his license would be revoked. Defendant Gates had now essentially searched and seized Mr. Elias.
My damn cat, dude. I'm gonna whoop his ass. Dude. I didn't actually whoop my cat's ass, by the way, guys. Freaking, I literally locked him in the room now. Like, he's literally opening all the freaking cabinets and just being a nuisance. Like, I'm over here trying to wonder, like, what's this banging I'm hearing, yada yada. Then I heard, like, some wall banging. I don't know if it was from a neighbor or something, you know, thinking maybe I'm speaking too loud or whatever. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, oh yeah, that fucking cat. But anyways, back to it.
And would continue to do so until his fishing expedition found something to arrest.
Yeah, so this is a major lawsuit. Denying his attorney, he's already proved his innocence in past, yada yada, you name it. Now he wants him to take the blood thing, yada yada, like all this shit. Like, this is the shit that we have to deal with, man. This is the nonsense that we have to deal with.
Him for. After all, Chief Ticer had never punished anyone for a wrongful DUI arrest. More on that later. Mr. Elias agrees to the blood test under threats of administrative sanctions against his driving privileges. While en route to and at the hospital, defendant Gates mutes his body cam for large portions of the incident, and now, over 2 hours later, he unmutes to record Mr. Elias while demanding he sign away his consent to a blood test.
I've already consented, so I'm not going to sign anything else without an attorney present.
Okay, well, if you don't sign it, it's a...
Yeah, see, and bam. See, that's what I'm talking about. Do not sign anything. I wish I knew this as well when I was first indicted in the process, you name it. Don't sign anything. Don't answer anything. You know, you don't have to do any of that. Okay, the only thing that's a little bit, you know, technical, which why he did it, is he had to do at least any one test, either to be taken to the hospital or to the police station. So, and he did that one, and he passed with flying fucking colors. At that point, that is it. They should be letting him go, you know, whatever. They shouldn't even be escalating any further. You know why not? Or better yet, 9 out of 10, they will look for a whole other charge to probably try to fucking do, you know? So, either way, like, what he's doing is perfect. Very smart individual, very calm and collective, very self-controlled. This is the example of what you need to do when you're in these situations.
Refusal. Okay? Refusal.
How is this a refusal? This is a medical test.
Right. That's exactly what it is. But in order for the phlebotomist to draw your blood, that consent form needs to be signed, and she can't draw your blood without that consent form.
Over the next 5 minutes, Mr. Elias asks questions about the form and the integrity of the test, worried that the state could easily draw his blood and tamper with the test or even switch out the vials.
Yeah,
because
true.
Mr. Elias asked too many questions and insisted on reading the form in its entirety, Defendant Gates grew angry and aggressive.
Okay? So I had another lady just 6 weeks ago have her blood sent to another lab to have analyzed. They got the blood from CBI, they sent it into a lab to be analyzed, okay? So for the last time, are you going to sign the form so the
I'm
phlebotomist...
going to consent to the blood test. Now, signing is, I would like to, I can't answer that till I read the form, sir. There's a lot of fine print on that. I'm not trying to make your job difficult. I'm trying to understand the form. This is a Colorado Bureau of Investigations form. You told me that there was an express consent form before. It's very confusing.
There's nothing confusing.
I'm under stress. My freedom is at stake, sir, and you're out of line.
Okay, then go ahead and put your hands on the handcuffs. We'll just call this a refusal.
I never refused, sir. I simply asked to read the form.
Okay, well, and again, I've explained the form to you a number of times, okay? So, refusal to submit to a chemical test can result in the administrative sanctions against your driving privilege.
So, right there, you know, you don't have to sign anything. You could even continue to even remain silent if you really wanted to as well. At the end of the day, unless your attorney is present, if your lawyer is not there, do not. Because you're either just going to be confused, or you might do something wrong, or sign something you shouldn't sign, or better yet, accidentally do something that is just going to make it look worse for you, or possibly incriminate you, to where even if you haven't done anything wrong, you know, shit like this is real. Evidence can be tampered with. Things can be altercated. Things can be affected illegally. It happens all the time. You got to remember, this is a system. They get money for arresting people. The whole process, all that, it's all about money, okay? And that's what happens. So yes, corruption, tampering evidence, you name it, that is a thing. Do not, because then you'd be putting yourself in a situation where even though he is not drunk, not intoxicated, okay, not drinking under the influence, okay, and he just passed a test that proves that, if they were to do a blood test and then do something to tamper, whatever, you name it, and then now it's saying that he is like off the charts or whatever, bam, and now he's being literally held accountable for a crime he didn't even commit. So I'm telling you guys, be smart.
So do I have an opportunity to sign the form or not? Do I have an opportunity to read the form?
Here's the deal. I'm not going to play this game, okay?
I'm not playing a game, sir. This is my freedom that you're talking
Lower
about.
your voice.
Yes, sir.
We have someone in here that does not need to feel threatened in any manner.
I'm handcuffed. I don't mean to threaten you. I'm sorry.
Lower your voice.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, I will give you one opportunity to sign the form.
I would like to read the form.
So then go ahead and read the form right now, and then I will take you out of handcuffs if you would like to sign the form and consent to the blood test. Okay? This game is over.
Mr. Elias eventually signs the form and the nurse draws his blood. Defendant Gates mutes his body cam once again and they return to the Loveland Police Department.
Yeah, never do
Sergeant
that,
Hill
man.
and Officer Gates.
In my opinion,
now
that's a mistake, but, you know, I would have to talk with my uncle who's a lawyer and all that, and everything, and what's it called, and yada yada, but, yeah, I don't know. I don't think he should have done that.
tell Mr. Elias that he needed to have a sober person pick him up or he would spend the night in jail. Now, at 2 a.m., he frantically called around and was able to have his girlfriend pick him up. She immediately dropped him off at a nearby hospital to get an independent blood draw, but no hospitals in the area would help him. And after hours of calling around and trying to obtain one from various doctors, he had to walk home. 2 months later, his blood test returned negative for everything. The very next day, his case was dismissed.
And that's so sad because, you know, freaking, he even tried to go to other hospitals to get a blood test just in case to prove that he's not, you know, you name it, Clearly, like, no guilty person would want to do that, okay? And they were just all denying him, and that's just fucking sad, dude.
But the FAA opened an investigation against his pilot's license, causing the foreclosure of various career paths, increases to insurance rates, embarrassment, heightened scrutiny, and more. The Loveland Police Department receives grants and other awards for making as many DUI arrests as possible. In 2019, they received nearly $300,000 for a single grant, using that money to purchase more equipment.
Point proven. It's all about money. This is what I'm talking about, guys. I'm telling you, you have to be smart. You have to do it the right way, because that is the only way to combat against these tyranny or evil, horrible people that has sworn an oath to serve and protect, but they're too busy wanting money. You know, they're too busy wanting to take advantage of their power, to exploit people's ignorances of the laws and their own rights. It's a sad reality we live in. I'm telling you, you have to pay attention.
And staff more officers. Then they can claim, look how many cops we needed to hire. Crime is rising, give us more money. And because of this system, the officers even compete with each other to see who can get the most arrests. Gates actually won in 2019. In that year,
I wonder why.
His 1,622 traffic stops, Gates let 1,352 of those drivers off with a warning. That works out to a catch and release rate of 84%. Defendant Sergeant Hill had similar results, releasing people with a warning at 63%. No reasonable officers anywhere releases that percentage of drivers they stop for traffic violations, but Loveland officers do, because writing tickets takes time, and officers like Gates are only interested in padding their DUI arrest stats. As the lawsuit filed against him alleges, he engaged in a systematic fishing expedition on the surrounding population, looking solely for the opportunity to make another DUI arrest. Because of the predatory nature of this system, countless innocent people are arrested and wrongfully charged. Harris has filed a lawsuit against the department, Officer Gates, and Sergeant Hill for their pattern and practice of wrongful DUI arrests.
Recently, there has been some criticism of our department's handling of impaired driving cases. It is important for me to stress that professional review is not an acknowledgement to the validity or accuracy of the specific complaints made by certain individuals about our DUI program.
I believe that when this officer or any officer in this department makes an arrest, it's based on solid probable cause.
All of this information was handed to me by Sarah Shelke of the Life and Liberty Law Offices. Her YouTube channel will be linked below for further updates on this incident and countless ones to come. The full 3-hour and 20-minute body cam video of this arrest is also available over there. If you stop by, be sure to let her know that I sent you, and stay tuned for tomorrow's video, where we will compare how a county prosecutor is treated after crashing his vehicle and damaging city property.
What happened there? I'm sorry? What happened there?
It's just sad. It's just a sad, sad reality that we live in, guys. And like I said, you know, what's it called? You guys really, really have to understand that this is something serious. It's not a game. This could be you at any moment. You could have no record. You could have no arrest. You could be the best person on this fucking planet. And that could be you. I'm telling you guys, try to understand your rights, the laws in your state. Make sure you have an attorney ready, you know what I mean? Or someone that, you know, can be there for you. Know how to defend yourself when you're in these predicaments and it's escalating to an arrest. And it's just that fucking simple, you know. And I mentioned in the middle of the video what I was going to mention something important at the end due to my own personal experience. If you guys are ever being apprehended and arrested, you need to take any belongings that you need once you're out of jail. And the reason why is because when you go to jail, whatever you have with you is all you have. And they take that away and they put it elsewhere. I'm not going to get into the specifics of what they do with it, you know, if it's treated as evidence, yada yada, this and that. But they take it all away, and you have no access to it. And they only let you call 3 phone numbers. 3! You can only have 3 numbers you can write down, okay? So make sure you have some numbers memorized. you know, or better yet, at least write down the 3 numbers that you know you're absolutely going to need and can rely on. Because they take your stuff, and then when you go through that whole freaking process, and they finally are going to let you out after, whether if you had to pay for a bond, or if you were willing to pay all of it, and then, you know, you go out, whatever the case may be, however it goes for you, unfortunately. And I apologize for anyone that is innocent, okay, that has to go through this crap, you know. But once you are out, all you have before, when you were first arrested, is all you're going to have. So if you don't have any friends, or if you don't have any family close by or nearby, or can't help or whatever, or if you're all on your own, or better yet, even if you're not all on your own, that's going to be a problem. Because if you don't have your wallet, how are you going to buy things? If you don't have your phone, how are you going to find where you're going to go? If you don't have your charger, what if your phone is dead? You know, these are things you have to put into consideration, you know. And at that point, you know, it just makes things more stressful, more complicated, and it could lead to more negative repercussions, okay? So that's something I wanted to mention towards the end of this video. I had to learn that the hard way, unfortunately. Really, really want this video to be out there for you guys. It's very important. This is real stuff that goes on in this world. Please take it seriously. Do your homework. Be prepared for the worst. You never know. They're not out there to protect and serve you. They're out there to arrest you. They're out there to look for anything. And at the end of the day, you know, hopefully, if you ever have any experience with law enforcement, it is because they are protecting you. It is because they are looking out for you, and it's the positives instead of the negatives. You know, but if it ever is a negative and you have done nothing wrong, you know what I mean? And you have, you know what I mean? Like, and it's as clear as day as the video we just watched, you know. Just do it the right way. Be smart. Do it the right way. And when you have your attorney, you go from there, and everything will work out. I promise. It will all work out. No matter, don't just ignore time. That's not even the important factor. It will all work out, and you will be compensated, and you will be rewarded for the injustice. That is the reasons why we have lawsuits. That is the reasons why we have these systems in place in order to combat against the injustice, against the tyrants, and the cops that exploit people's ignorances, and so on and so forth. Batman's going to be leaving. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below. Subscribe for more content. Subscribe if you guys love the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.